All right. Hey, today we're talking about how to reach new young families like right now. And what we need is event thinking. And we're going to talk all about that here at the Better Sundays podcast at reachkeep.com. Welcome to the Better Sundays podcast. Focused, practical, and usable advice for church leaders looking to reach new young families and impact their community. Well, howdy. Mike Holmes here in studio, back from a prolonged sickness. I have been out of order for about a month here, lost my voice and all those things, but boy, it is good to be back with you guys, and thank you so much for your patience. We are continuing our quest here to reach new young families, and that's what we're all about here at reachkeep.com. We want to help you and your church figure out how to reach them, and the latest request is like, how do I reach them now? Okay, and obviously there's a lot of long-term kind of things that we can do to reach young families, and we've talked about the whole assimilating them in and good communication and having an environment that's just really sort of that fertile landing ground for them. And some of those things take a little bit of time. But I want to talk about something that will help you next Sunday. And this is a change in the way that we think about things. The idea of having what we call event thinking, and why every pastor needs event thinking as opposed to routine thinking. Now, we come to church, you and I, we probably were in church today because of our idea of forsaking not the assembling of ourselves, and, we have a habit, we have a, ritual, routine, whatever you want to call it, which is very good, and we try to teach our children that, and all our congregants that. But one of the things that we have found, and is just very obvious, is that other people don't have that. They don't have the routine. They don't have a habit because they don't have a habit. They're not obeying the scriptures to come to church because they don't know the scriptures. They're just not in any type of routine or regular thing because they've never started in the first place. So we need to get them in. And one of the things that will help get them in is what we need to deal with right here in our head is that we need to start to think of church as an event. Every Sunday is an event. Now, I'm not going to do your midweek services this way, not even really think about your Sunday night services, or not even your big, missions things and revival meetings this way. I'm talking about the 52 regular Sunday mornings that you have, because Sunday morning is the front door of the church. That's where new people come. In America, in our culture, that's the place we're going to have them here for the first time. We had a brand new family today. They brought with them a guest. We had another set of our church people that came, and they brought a first-time guest. We had another set of people who have been kind of fringe people, but lately kind of picked it up and starting to come more often, and they brought a first-time guest today. So we have guests every Sunday, and they come because we treat things like an event. Now, we have a saying here that we use for a long time, and that is that people come for events, but they stay because of relationships. They come because they were invited to an event, but they stay because of a relationship. In their mind, they're coming to a singular one-off thing, like, what's this all about? I have no idea. In fact, one of the guys that was in church today, young fella, probably mid-20s, I would say, no idea if he was anywhere related to Christianity at any level. In fact, the fact that he sat in most of the service like this, didn't sing and didn't nod his head or anything, let me know that, hey, we've got probably a brand new person here investigating the claims of Jesus, and we're very excited to have them there. But he in his mind, he came because he was invited to an event. So people come for events. They stay because of relationships, and we've dealt a lot with that. We will continue to deal with the relationship stuff. But let me give you a little bit of what we call event thinking, and the differences between event and routine or ritual. And you and I need to kind of grab hold of this as pastors. The first one I wrote down is event takes a lot of preparation, and routines are You can cruise. You can just kind of mellow your way through those things. There's no peaks or valleys or whatever. It's just kind of same old, same old. And we can have a regular old Sunday just like the last one, just like the last one, just like the last one. But it takes an event, takes preparation. Now, I already can imagine the pushback on this. When I say turn your Sunday mornings into an event, people are thinking, we don't need the rah-rah, we don't need the experience, the hoopla, and all that kind of stuff. And I'm not talking about that. I'm just talking about preparing and making sure that this is a one-off kind of thing, that like we're going to make this a very, very special day. This day coming up, this Sunday, is going to be a very special day. And think of what you can do in the preparation side of it to make it special. There's everything from, refreshments, to the way that you preach your sermon, to visual aids, to the invitation, to inviting people, to telling your folks to invite people, the kind of the, we call promotion, getting people to promote and bring their friends. But let them know that next Sunday is a thing that you are preparing for, and work on preparing for it. Now, I know you'll work on your sermon, but work on cleaning your building, having things set up, like say anything special that you can come up with, you want to do that. So there is a difference that events have a preparation mentality, where the routine is other things, they're just, they're kind of sort of level. So let me give you another one here. Okay, an event is an outsider focus, and the routine or the ritual of Sundays is really insider focus. So again, this is the prep part. You're going to be talking to a lot of people, because next Sunday is going to be one awesome Sunday, because you're going to be bringing new people in, and it is going to be the day that they remember that they came to your church and their life was changed, and they started, we all go back to a single day somewhere, and it is the day that is going to change them forever is next Sunday. So you focus on the outsiders. You text them, you write them, you promote it, you put it on Facebook, you do whatever you can to get people to come to church. You advertise those type of things, because it is a life-changing day, and it is focused on outsiders rather than focus on just the insiders and just your church people. And I wonder if I got this, if I'm going to offend this person or say it to that person, or, we have a business meeting, or, we have our little insider thing that we're doing. Now, I'm for insider stuff, and we've got all sorts of different insider things that we do, and a lot of those are more relational. But you need to have an outsider focus. Think about the people who were not there, not the regular people who will be there. Every church probably has a certain amount of people they can count on. Next Sunday, they're going to be there. Rain or shine, hot or cold, they're going to be there. Don't think about them right now. Think about the people that are not there. Fringe people you've met at a business, people you've handed a tract to, people that you've somehow bumped into in a vocational way, someone at your grocery store, whatever. Think about that. Focus on the outsiders. The next one I have here is events are driven by events or invites, okay? What we call invite driven, okay? Rather than the routines, which are not. I mean, they're not driven by invite. They're not invite driven. I don't want to say invitation, because that has sort of a double meaning. That's something we do at the end of a church. But it's the idea that it's driven by an invite. In other words, you're going to invite people. In your bulletin this week, you should have invited people to church next week. In your announcements, you should have invited people next week. After church, while you're talking to people, you should be talking about inviting them to next week. And if it is invite driven, what that means is that you know what you're preaching on. You know the topic, you know the music, you know what's going on. You may not have every point fine-tuned, but you know where things are going. And I'll give you an example. We had a girl, young mother that was at church this week, and she was talking to me about all the sickness and stuff that going around. Her kid, little bitty kid, got COVID and all this stuff. And so she was really kind of scared about putting the kid in the nursery. She goes, I worry about it way too much. I think I really am overboard on this as a young mother, but it's my kid, and I don't want them to have RSV and COVID and all that stuff. Well, her child ended up going into the nursery, and so at the end of the service, because the child, when I first talked, the child was with her. When I got to the end of the service, I went and they were coming out of the nursery, and she's just like, "Well, he ended up in the nursery anyway. I'm just so worried about all this stuff." And I said, "You know what?" And I named her name. I said, "In 2 weeks, you need to make sure you're here at church." Because we are talking about the enemy within ourselves, one of our own worst enemy. And the topic in 2 weeks is we're going to talk about worry and how that we need to not fret and not worry. And I'm going to give you some practical things in 2 weeks. Make sure you're here. See, that's invite driven. That's where we know where we're going and we're getting people to come to church because we've thought about it ahead of time. If you want to reach people now, you need to know what you're inviting them to next Sunday. You need to have that figured out and work ahead. And we can help you. We've just put out our sermon planner for how to do sermon planning throughout the whole year. And it will really help you to have an idea of where you're going and have kind of the general idea of your sermons out there, because people come for that type of stuff. The last one here, and this is sort of the secret weapon here, is Events take, and I've got it here on a little card that I produced for a while back. Events take what we call conscientious forethought. Conscientious forethought. And this is something that people see oozing out of you, okay? They see, like the girl that I invited, she's probably like, wow, he's prepared. He's thinking ahead. He has conscientiousness for me, okay? You need to have that. And by having your music ready and having your announcements ready and by having, things posted online and text things about where you're going and really, prepping your next services and some of that, that's how you will get young families to come to your church. They have to come. Now, we're going to get them to stay because of relationships. And by the way, they will stay too because of like, hey, next week it's on worry. I'm going to make sure I'm here for that. But you and I need to really be thinking ahead and having this conscientious forethought, like oozing out of our life, okay, oozing out of the church that we know what's going on. Lots of ways to do this, okay? Stick around reachkeep.com and we'll show you some of that. In fact, if you're interested in some coaching, if you're interested in just talking through this stuff regularly, go to our website, and on the top there's a little green bar. You can click on that and schedule a free conversation with me, and we can talk about whatever you have coming up for this next week. I would love to help you figure out your next week. Whenever you're listening to this, you got a next week, and I'll help you figure out how to do some of that. Love to talk to you about it. But in the meantime, anyway, this is Mike at reachkeep.com. It is good to be back after some sickness, and I'm very excited about what the future holds. Thank you for joining us. Make sure that you hit the like button, the thumbs up button, the share button, and any other button that you want to push. Go ahead and do that, and we will be with you here to help you create flourishing believers in your local church. So thanks for joining us here at the Better Sundays podcast at reachkeep.com.